Hello YouTube, it's Lion here with Hobbies of a Man once again, and today we are doing our monthly rambling video where we take a topic and I talk about it off the cuff, on the top of the dome about in like a really easy, not very heavily edited way, just to kind of, well, I guess allow you guys to get to know me, but more than anything, it's just to share opinions about something that I've been thinking about for a while. Now, originally this video was going to be a ramble video about the way discourse over series happens in the manga and anime community. But I decided that that's a really heavy topic that is too tough to handle in a rambling video. That's too kind of wide and too large for me to handle concisely in any way in a rambling video. Now, I do probably want to make a video about it later because I think it's very interesting, but I would actually have to sit down and think about it and kind of maybe structure it a bit beyond 2 seconds before I record the video. So yeah, today's topic is actually going to be the condition of your books as a collector. Do you care? Do I care? Stuff like that. And I need to, talk a little bit about background in terms of collecting for me. So I'll do that first, and then we'll talk about, the answer to the question. Do I care about the books that I collect? And if I care, what condition do I want them to be? And the answer is kind of difficult because I collect two types of books. In quotation marks, it's more like four, but two different types of books. I collect Japanese comic book stuff, and then I collect Western novels, right? And my criteria for both of those in terms of collecting them and conditions in which I want to collect them are quite different. So, background-wise, I've been collecting books in general, not like comic books specifically, more like Western novels, for ever, basically. I've always owned books. My parents have always bought me books, and I've always read books. But, when I was younger in elementary school, I would mostly read from the library. And in middle school, that was mostly the case as well. But in middle school, I ended up buying a copy of Hunger Games, like the Hunger Games box set, in those Scholastics book sales that they used to have once a year. I bought that set, and from there, kind of, I was catapulted into collecting books, earnestly, in a way that was actively collecting. So yeah, I think officially I started collecting books when I was about 12 years old, in 7th-ish grade. I bought the Hunger Games books in 6th grade while I was still at public school before I moved on to a small charter school kind of thing, where I just started reading a lot. So I've been collecting, I guess, 10 years, actively collecting 10 years, and I've been collecting manga for 1 year. And when I say manga, I also include light novels and Western comic books, but I don't really buy comic books that often, so it doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, so the way I've mostly been collecting books for most of my life is actually buying them used. I have this old local used bookstore that I've been going to for about 10 years, where I would buy the majority of my books. And given that it's a used bookstore, most of the books that I bought were most of them were actually in pretty good condition, but I would never shy away from buying a book in a really shitty condition. Or maybe I would shy away from really shitty conditions, it was falling apart. I would not want to buy it. But if it was a little bit dinged or a little old, I wouldn't really care, because at that point in my life, I was like, oh, this is really cool. All of these books, no matter how old they are, have a story to them, beyond the story that the book is about. Each book being used and belonging to someone before me has something to it. And, as books got caught up on my shelf and I grew up with them, and, I spent basically my formative years staring at my bookshelf, all of those books started to mean something to me, and I didn't really care about the condition of the books anymore. I cared about what those books signified to me, which is really cute and stuff, but I really don't own most of those books anyways anymore, because I got rid of them to make space for things that I'm currently into. But, you know, I always have a lot of those books in my mind in terms of like, oh, this is the book that I read when I was like crushing on this one girl, or when I was doing this thing, or when I was at this, you know, science Olympiad competition or whatever. Like, whatever the point was, you know, there's a lot of different books in my mind all the time that kind of link to specific aspects of my life that I really care about. But, like, basically, novels, I don't really care about the condition of them. And I'll show you a few that I own that have been really special to me throughout my life that, you know, kind of show that. Now, in terms of manga, I've only been collecting manga for about a year. I did have a huge love for anime more than anything growing up. You know, Saint Seiya was the first one that I really watched besides Pokemon. Like, the first one that I knew was anime. And then Naruto. I used to watch One Piece every once in a while when I was in Mexico, because it was like the 8 a.m. Cartoon segment was mostly One Piece and Thundercats for some reason. Like, it's such an odd combination, but that's what they had, because it was like cable TV, or well, not even cable TV. It was like the antenna. It was like whatever the local channels had available. And so I would watch that, and then it was Saint Seiya, Naruto, and then you know, Attack on Titan, and what was the other one? Fairy Tail. Those were like the big ones for me growing up. And so when I ended up buying manga, and Dragon Ball, like the original series, I watched that while I was living in a hotel for like 3 months, because we had sold our old house before we moved into the one I live in right now, which is, I don't know, 10 years old, I guess. And I used to watch Dragon Ball on YouTube when it was like, when I didn't know it was basically illegal, and when YouTube was like a lawless land where everyone could just upload whatever they wanted, right? And so when I, you know, managed to buy manga, you know, at my local used bookstore, I ended up buying, you know, books from that series, from those series that I mentioned. And so I actually owned, you know, pre-owned manga that was in like relatively good condition for a long time before I started collecting. Now, most of the manga I still collect today are, you know, used manga, so I don't really mind too much in terms of the condition of the manga either. But I really dislike when, you know, it's like really bad, and I really hate yellowing, which is kind of annoying because most manga yellows anyways. But yeah, so that's basically my answer. I think my answer to the question, you know, do you care about the condition of your books, is not really. I care about certain aspects of the condition of my books. Like, for example, I really don't mind dented covers and like stuff like that. Like this, look. This really doesn't bother me, right? But I don't love it either. What really bothers me usually is yellowing. And in fact, it's not even yellowing itself, because I don't really care that, you know, the manga looks yellow on the outside because you open it and it looks fine. But what I care about is that if I have like one volume of one thing and a second volume of that same thing, and they have different amounts of yellowing to them, which drives me nuts. Other things that I really dislike in manga are like edges that come up and like get damaged like that. I really dislike that. This is an old copy of Naruto, volume 45, that I got from a friend. He was like super into it as well. And this is like really messed up because he didn't really care about his books. But yeah, the only real issue with it is this. I really hate stuff that affects the spine, because, you know, this is like the thing that you're going to see all the time. I really want it to be good. The other thing I really dislike about spines is when they're not properly centered. It's like, bro, this is the display. Why is it not the thing that you care about making sure is good? Like, it's just annoying, right? I know it's like a very stupid first world problem, but it's one that annoys me. And so I'm going to complain about it. I really dislike when companies, specifically Yen Press, and Seven Seas do this thing where like they sell things that are printed incorrectly on the cover, and so you end up with like a book that doesn't align properly with the cover, and that really annoys me. I don't really care about remainder marks because that means the book was cheap, so I don't really mind. But yeah, in terms of books though, to show you that I really don't care about the condition of them, here is my dad's oldest book that he owns. That's like not a textbook basically. It's Frank Herbert's Dune. This is the original Spanish edition. And as you can see, it has tape all over it. And the cover is completely ruined. The manuscript, or well, I guess it's not really a manuscript, but like the book comes apart. And I own this, and I keep it in my bookshelf in the Spanish section, which is over there in a separate bookshelf. And I keep it because, you know, it's one of my dad's favorite stories, and because it's one of the kind of like books that me and my dad really bonded over, right? Growing up, me and my dad both really enjoy science fiction, you know, Star Wars. He really likes Alien. I don't really care about Alien. Dune, and a bunch of Kindle books like Evan Curry's, what's it called? Odyssey 1 series. Like, we really bond over reading science fiction books and watching, you know, science fiction TV shows. Like, we recently started watching Stargate SG-1, right? I think that's the full name of it. And we watched Expanse the other day, which was really, really cool. Yeah, so this is like the oldest book that I own, and it's my dad's old copy of Frank Herbert's Dune. I also have an English copy to read, and that one's in much better condition, but I'm not going to get it. The other thing I own is like the first book that I remember that I really loved, and this is like from 4th grade, and it's Star Wars Hard Contact, which is a Republic Commandos novel. And as you can see, a bunch of tape all over it. The spine is creased to hell and back. The spine is creased to hell and back. The back cover is creased. The front cover is creased. And I tried to fix it once, and I glued it, and now it has like this really shitty glue job all over it. But, you know, it's still readable, and I still enjoy it, and it's actually quite satisfying that you can open it all the way. But yeah, this has gone with me everywhere. I think I took it to Mexico like 5 times. I would always read it on the car on the way to Mexico. I think I took this to Turkey once. I went on this like language exchange program thing, and this has been with me for a long time. I really enjoy Republic Commandos. I never played the video game or anything like that, but I read all of the books, and this is the one that I read the most. I just really enjoyed it growing up, and this is one of those books I'm never going to get rid of, even though it has such a shitty condition, because it means so much to me, right? So I'm going to definitely buy a different version if I want to read it again, because, you know, it's damaged to hell and back, but, you know, I really love it, so I'm not going to get rid of it. And this other one is, you know, maybe my current favorite, and it's Brandon Sanders's The Way of Kings. This is the paperback edition, mass market paperback, because those are the versions that I like. I know that for collecting's sake, hardcovers are better, but I don't necessarily care about collecting when it comes to novels. I care about collecting when it comes to manga, but for novels, it's all about the story and the experience and the links I can have between my life at the time of first reading this book and how it looks and stuff, right? So yeah, The Way of Kings is huge, right? And I got this Christmas after I left, after I graduated high school, if I remember correctly. Might have been before that, actually. No, it was definitely after high school. I think I had it was my first semester of university, and I'd been watching a bunch of videos on YouTube, and I heard about The Way of Kings. And so when I was at the bookstore, I bought it, and I used like Christmas money to buy it, basically. And yeah, I read it in like 4 days. It was ridiculous because it was like a 1,000-page book. It was huge. It was like not the first adult fantasy that I had read, but it was like the one that really had captivated me the most. And yeah, I remember distinctly really enjoying cracking the spines. But waiting, I was like, no, I have to wait. I have to wait till a significant page. So like at page 100, I was like, okay, it's time to crack it. And I really enjoyed the noise that it made, you know, that like kind of crisp like crack from the glue denting, which is really great. But I would really not enjoy doing that for most books, but just so it being so big and fat, I just like really enjoyed cracking it. And yeah, it's all beat up because I took this with me to university because I read it in 4 days and then I immediately started reading it again. And then the semester after that, I was like, I'm just going to take it with me. And I had this in my backpack for a whole semester. I didn't finish reading it during that semester because it's a long ass book and I got, you know, sidetracked with other stuff. But yeah, it's all scuffed. It's all messed up. The cover is damaged. The spine is damaged because I took it with me to university. And, you know, I remember sitting in the, you know, university student union reading this while I ate lunch, right? And I remember, you know, all of these things, right? So to me, the condition of the book is a direct, what's it called? Reflection of the experiences that I had reading it. And so for novels, it actually doesn't bother me at all. I think it's actually quite pretty in a very metaphorical kind of like emotional sense to have books that are damaged due to the fact that they were with you in specific moments of your life. I really dislike damaging a book for the sake of damaging it, though. It's usually mostly damaged as a reflection of, you know, the time I spent with it, right? So books that I read a lot are going to be more messed up than books that I read less. So that's like my feelings about this, about the condition of books when it comes to novels. With manga, though, I would prefer them to be pristine as much as possible because I don't really associate the same idea. And because they're comic books and the visual collecting aspect is as important as the actual story of the manga, to me, I prefer them to be in as good condition as I can. But because I buy used, that's not always possible. So I don't really mind that much anyways. But yeah, I don't really know if this was a good rambling video. I guess it is because I ended up kind of like sharing a lot about myself throughout this video. But like, I don't really know if I really hit the topic on the head properly. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought. What do you guys think about conditions when it comes to manga and light novels? Do you guys care about the conditions of your volumes and your books, or do you not? Do you have this weird like emotional connection with all the dents and dings in your books, or is that just me being a weirdo? Yeah, let me know down below, and thank you guys very much for watching once again. I really do appreciate it, and see you guys later.